The quantum sensors aboard Luna Base screamed their familiar warning as another Nexus warship dropped out of hyperspace. Dr. Catherine Monroe didn't bother looking up from her neural interface display. These alerts had become background noise over the past 3 months, like a doorbell at a funeral home, each chime marking another step toward humanity's extinction. Dr. Monroe, the base's AI announced with artificial calm. General Morrison requests your presence in the Emergency Command Center. Priority Alpha. Catherine ran her fingers through her unkempt, gray-streaked hair, briefly wondering when she'd last slept. Tell him I'm busy proving his entire defense strategy is worthless. She adjusted another setting on her quantum scanner, watching as the neural patterns from her test subject fluctuated across the holographic display. The general insisted. The AI's voice cut off as the entire base shuddered. Emergency lights flashed crimson, casting harsh shadows across the laboratory's sterile white walls. Direct hit on Level 3, the AI reported. Hull breach in Sectors 7 through 9. Initiating emergency protocols. Catherine swore under her breath. The Nexus weren't supposed to be able to target the base's critical sections. Their quantum shielding should have appeared impenetrable to alien sensors. She glanced at her test subject, a young Marine who'd volunteered for her controversial experiments. He was unconscious, neural probes feeding data to her systems as she mapped the quantum interference patterns generated by human consciousness. Another impact rocked the facility. This time, Catherine heard the screech of tearing metal. "Doctor," the Marine mumbled, stirring despite the sedatives. "Something feels wrong. Like static in my head." Catherine frowned at her displays. The Marine's neural patterns were showing impossible fluctuations, creating quantum distortions that... She froze, her tired mind suddenly electric with realization. The data couldn't be right. She ran the analysis again. "Holy shit," she whispered. The base's internal comm system crackled. "Dr. Monroe." General Morrison's voice was tight with barely controlled panic. "The Nexus have adapted to our quantum shielding. We're initiating total evacuation. Get to your designated." "General, shut up and listen," Catherine interrupted, her fingers flying across multiple holographic interfaces. "The Nexus aren't adapting to our shields. They can't see the east wing of the base at all. It's being masked by Lieutenant Parker's neural patterns." "What? Monroe, this isn't the time for your fringe theories about. Look at your tactical display," she snapped. "The Nexus aren't attacking random sections. They're avoiding every area where we're running neural pattern tests. They physically cannot target those sections because human consciousness generates quantum interference patterns that disrupt their sensor technology." Silence filled the comm channel for 3 long seconds. "Explain," Morrison ordered. "We've been idiots," Catherine said, downloading critical data to her portable drive. "We've been trying to match Nexus quantum technology, but our greatest weapon has been inside our skulls the whole time. Human consciousness naturally generates patterns that create holes in quantum space. The more active the mind, the bigger the blind spot. That's why they're so determined to wipe us out. We're the only species they've encountered whose minds can disrupt their sensor networks." Another explosion rocked the base. Warning klaxons blared as atmosphere began venting from multiple sections. "Even if you're right," Morrison said, "it's too late. We've lost the base. Get to an escape pod." Catherine looked at her test subject, still unconscious but generating quantum disruption fields that made this section of the base invisible to the Nexus. "No," she said, "I need 5 minutes with the quantum mainframe. I can prove this works." She ran toward the door, clutching her data drive. "And General, when I get court-martialed for this, remember that I just found a way to fight back." She sprinted through corridors filled with panicked personnel, her mind racing faster than her feet. If she was right, humanity had just discovered its secret weapon. If she was wrong, well, she'd be too dead to face those court-martial charges anyway. Either way, the next 5 minutes would change the course of the war. The Antarctic Black Site hadn't been on any maps since World War II. Now, as Commander Jack Torres was marched through its reinforced corridors in magnetic shackles, he understood why. The facility reeked of desperate measures and black budgets. "Keep moving." The power-armored guard behind him growled, punctuating the order with a shove. Jack rolled his shoulders, the motion making his orange prison jumpsuit crinkle. "Careful there, friend. I'm apparently valuable government property now." 3 days ago, he'd been rotting in a maximum security prison for smuggling quantum-restricted technology. Then the Nexus had wiped out Phoenix Colony, and suddenly his cell door had opened. The guards led him into a circular chamber dominated by a massive holographic display. A woman stood before it, her gray-streaked hair pulled back in a severe bun. She was studying neural scan data with the intensity of someone trying to decode God's handwriting. "Dr. Monroe," one guard announced. "Commander Torres as requested." She turned, fixing Jack with eyes that seemed to dissect him on a quantum level. "Remove his restraints." "Ma'am, this prisoner is generating the strongest neural ghost field I've ever seen," she interrupted. "Even in these artificial conditions, his consciousness is creating quantum disruption patterns that make my instruments glitch. Imagine what he could do if he wasn't being treated like cargo." The guards exchanged glances, but deactivated his shackles. Jack rubbed his wrists. "Lady, I don't know what you think I can do, but you're a murderer, smuggler, and ex-Special Forces operative who somehow managed to slip through Nexus blockades 12 times without being detected," Dr. Monroe said. "Now I know why. Your neural pattern generates a natural stealth field, one that could help us win this war." She gestured at the holographic display. It showed a sleek vessel that looked nothing like standard Union ships. "This is the Shadow-class frigate, designed to amplify the quantum disruption fields generated by human consciousness. But it needs pilots with specific neural patterns, people whose minds naturally create ghost fields in quantum space. And I'm one of them. You're the strongest we found." She smiled thinly. "Turns out all those sociopathic tendencies that made you such a good killer also make your consciousness exceptionally disruptive to quantum space. Lucky us." Jack studied the ship schematics. "And if I say no, then humanity loses its best chance at survival, and you go back to prison. But you won't say no, because under all that criminal conditioning, you're still a soldier. And soldiers fight." Jack laughed. "Lady, I haven't been a soldier since the Nexus killed your family on Titan Base," she finished. "I read your file. All of it." The temperature in the room seemed to drop. Jack's easy smile vanished. "I need you to build me a squadron," Monroe continued. 11 other pilots with neural patterns like yours. People who can turn their trauma, their rage, their broken pieces into weapons. Because that's what ghost fields are, quantum echoes of human pain and defiance." She handed him a tablet. "Here's a list of candidates. All criminals, all broken in interesting ways, all generating neural disruption patterns. I need you to break them out of their respective prisons and convince them to fly experimental ships against an enemy that's never lost a war." Jack scrolled through the list. Murderers, thieves, hackers, people whose minds had been twisted just enough to make them quantum anomalies. "You're insane." "Probably. But I'm also right. The Nexus are running scared for the first time because they've discovered that human consciousness is poison to their quantum technology. Imagine what we could do with a whole squadron of ghost pilots." Jack looked again at the ship schematics. It was beautiful, deadly, and impossible, like everything else about this insane plan. "When do we start?" he asked. Monroe's smile was razor-sharp. "We already have. Your first target is a black site prison in the Urals. Lieutenant Sarah Martinez, our second strongest neural pattern generator, is being held there. Try not to kill too many guards during the extraction. They're technically on our side." Jack handed back the tablet. "No promises. Apparently, my sociopathic tendencies are what make me special. Just remember, Commander, you're not criminals anymore. You're humanity's last hope." "Great," Jack muttered. "No pressure." Multiple Nexus signatures detected, Lieutenant Martinez announced, her voice tight with tension. "Big ones. This isn't a supply convoy." Jack Torres stared at the tactical display aboard the Shadow-class frigate Wraith. 12 red dots marked his squadron's positions, currently hidden behind an asteroid field. "But beyond that, I count 37 Nexus warships," he said, "including 3 dreadnoughts. Well, this just got interesting." "Commander," Rodriguez's voice crackled over the comm, "recommend immediate withdrawal. We're not rated for." "Quiet," Jack ordered, watching the Nexus fleet's formation. Their quantum sensors swept the asteroid field in precise patterns, like searchlights hunting escapees. Any normal ships would have been detected instantly. But Eclipse Squadron wasn't normal. Even now, Jack could feel the strange resonance of his neural ghost field, amplified by the Wraith's asterisk systems, until reality itself seemed to blur around them. "Listen up, ghosts," he said. "This is exactly what we trained for. Those supply convoys were practice. This is the real test." "With respect, sir," Hayes cut in, "we trained to hit targets we could actually damage." "Those dreadnoughts." A proximity alert screamed through the command channel. One of the Nexus ships had altered course, heading straight for their position. "They're guessing," Martinez said. "Random search pattern. They can't see us, but they know something's wrong. Their quantum grid is showing holes." Jack smiled. Dr. Monroe's theory was proving correct. Their neural patterns were creating blind spots in the Nexus detection systems. But they needed more than blind spots to survive this. "New plan," he announced. "We're going to use their paranoia against them. Hayes, Rodriguez, take your wings and circle wide. Everyone else, form on me. Time to show these high-minded bastards what fear really means." The squadron split smoothly, years of criminal experience translating perfectly into combat maneuvers. Jack watched his tactical display as Hayes and Rodriguez led their ships through the asteroid field, their ghost fields making them quantum shadows. "Remember," Jack said, "the stronger the emotion, the stronger the disruption. And nothing's more disruptive than terror. Now, let's give them something to be afraid of." He pushed his consciousness into the neural interface, feeling the Wraith systems amplify his ghost field until reality rippled. Around him, his pilots did the same. The Nexus fleet's formation suddenly twisted as their quantum sensors detected phantom signatures appearing and disappearing at random. Their precise formation began to fragment. "Now," Jack ordered. Eclipse Squadron struck from multiple angles. The Wraith materialized seemingly from nowhere, its quantum-disrupting weapons tearing through a Nexus cruiser's shields before the alien vessel could react. Then they were gone again, swallowed by their own ghost fields as Hayes' wing appeared on the opposite side of the formation. "Multiple hits confirmed," Martinez reported, her voice strained from maintaining her ghost field. "Their formation is breaking down. They can't coordinate their defense without reliable quantum signals." Jack watched in satisfaction as the mighty Nexus fleet began to disintegrate into chaos. Their hive-mind coordination, dependent on quantum communications, was useless against enemies they couldn't properly detect. "They're firing blind," Rodriguez called. "Complete sensor confusion. You should see their quantum grid. It's like static made of nightmares." "Push harder," Jack ordered. "Make them see ghosts everywhere." The battle became a deadly dance of phantom attacks and quantum shadows. Eclipse Squadron struck again and again, their ghost fields creating impossible sensor readings that drove the Nexus commanders mad. Ships fired at empty space, while real threats materialized in their blind spots. "Dreadnought's main reactor is critical," Hayes reported after their 4th attack run. "They're breaking formation completely." Jack checked his tactical display. 19 Nexus ships showed critical damage or complete destruction. The others were retreating, their once perfect formation reduced to panic. "Eclipse Squadron," he said, "mission accomplished. Let's. Commander. Martinez's voice was sharp with alarm. Something's wrong. My ghost field. It's not responding correctly. I can see things through the quantum space. Jack felt it too, a strange doubling of reality, as if his consciousness was being stretched across dimensions. All ships, power down neural interfaces, he ordered. Return to base immediately. Dr. Monroe needs to see this data. As Eclipse Squadron disappeared into quantum shadows for their return journey, Jack couldn't shake the feeling that they'd just crossed a line. They'd proven humanity could fight back. But at what cost to their own humanity? The medical bay's quantum scanner hummed as it passed over Lieutenant Rodriguez's trembling form. His eyes darted beneath closed lids, tracking something only he could see. Tell me exactly what happened, Dr. Monroe demanded, studying the neural readings with growing concern. We were running combat drills, Jack explained, watching his pilot convulse. Rodriguez said he could see through the ship's hull. Then he started screaming about shadows moving in quantum space. Damn it. Monroe adjusted the scanner settings. That's the third incident this week. Hayes is still in a coma, and Martinez keeps shifting between quantum states. Sometimes her body's here while her mind appears in sensor readings halfway across the system. The scanner beeped a warning. Rodriguez's neural patterns were fragmenting, creating ghost fields even while unconscious. The technology is changing them, Jack said. It wasn't a question. No. Monroe's voice was tight. They're changing themselves. The neural interfaces aren't just amplifying their consciousness anymore. They are evolving it, forcing human minds to adapt to quantum space in ways I never predicted. Rodriguez suddenly sat up, eyes wide. The walls, they're breathing. Can't you see it? The quantum shadows are alive. 3 orderlies rushed to restrain him as medical alarms screamed. The lieutenant's ghost field was warping reality around him, making medical equipment malfunction and causing spatial distortions. Sedate him, Monroe ordered. Maximum dose. Jack grabbed her arm. That's not going to fix this. My pilots are falling apart, Doctor. We need solutions. You need to be operational, she countered. The Nexus are adapting, developing new tactics. They're using captured human minds to pilot their ships now, trying to counter our ghost fields. If Eclipse Squadron stands down, we'll stand down permanently if the neural interfaces fry our brains. Jack's own ghost field flared with his anger, creating a momentary blind spot in the medical bay sensors. Monroe's expression softened slightly. I'm working on stabilizing the technology, but there's something else you need to see. She led him to a secured lab where multiple displays showed neural pattern analyses. These are from your last engagement. Look at the quantum resonance signatures. Jack studied the data. They're stronger, more coherent. They're synchronized, Monroe corrected. Your pilots aren't just generating individual ghost fields anymore. They're unconsciously linking their quantum signatures, creating overlapping patterns that... She trailed off as new alarms blared through the facility. Jack grabbed his tactical pad, checking the alert. Nexus attack force detected, he read. 3 light minutes out and closing. They're targeting our orbital shipyards. He looked at Monroe. I need to scramble the squadron. Half your pilots are in medical isolation. Then I'll fly with half a squadron. He headed for the door. Better than watching another colony die. Monroe caught his arm. Wait. There might be a way. But it's risky. If your pilots really are developing linked quantum signatures, we could try routing additional neural load through the operational pilots. Use their ghost fields to carry the patterns of the incapacitated ones. You're talking about letting 6 pilots carry the neural patterns of 12. The Nexus use a hive mind. Maybe it's time we fought fire with fire. Jack thought about Rodriguez's fractured mind, Hayes' coma, Martinez's quantum displacement, and if it breaks them completely. Then we lose our best weapon against the Nexus, Monroe said quietly. Your call, Commander. Jack's tactical pad beeped again. The Nexus fleet was accelerating. Do it, he ordered. But Monroe, if this kills my pilots, our next conversation won't be friendly. She nodded grimly and began typing commands into her console. I'm redirecting neural patterns now. The interface will feel different. Try not to fight it. Jack sprinted toward the hangar as the facility's klaxons wailed. He could already feel it. Ghost signatures that weren't his own, quantum echoes of other consciousnesses threading through his mind. Eclipse Squadron, he subvocalized through his neural link. Prepare for emergency launch. And whatever happens up there, I'm sorry. The hangar doors opened to reveal stars scattered like broken glass across the void. Somewhere out there, the Nexus were coming to kill more humans. But this time, humanity's ghosts would be hunting them back. Cooper's ghost field just swallowed 3 Nexus ships, Martines reported, her voice distorting across quantum frequencies. That's not supposed to be possible. Jack watched in horror as Lieutenant Ryan Cooper's neural signature expanded like a tear in reality. The Shadow Wraith's sensors couldn't process what they were seeing, quantum space folding in on itself, creating a void that defied physics. Cooper, report. Jack ordered. No response. The lieutenant's ship hung motionless, surrounded by the quantum distortion. His consciousness is fragmenting. Monroe's voice crackled through the command channel. The neural patterns. I'm seeing multiple signatures, as if he's existing in several places simultaneously. Sir, Martinez cut in. Nexus vessels approaching Cooper's position. They're not attacking. They're docking. Before Jack could respond, Cooper's ship vanished, not with the usual ghost field distortion, but with a reality-bending snap that made Jack's teeth ache. The Nexus ships disappeared with him. All units, fall back tow. Jack's order was interrupted by a burst of quantum static. When it cleared, his tactical display showed an impossible sight. Cooper's neural signature appearing at 12 different locations across the sector. Monroe, Jack subvocalized through his neural link. Tell me you're seeing this. It's worse than that, she replied. We just found evidence in the quantum archives. Cooper's been accessing restricted files for months, transmitting data bursts during combat operations. He's been working with the Nexus. Jack felt the other pilots' shock ripple through their linked consciousness. After the neural merging procedure, they all shared fragments of each other's thoughts. Cooper's betrayal felt personal, like a knife in all their minds. Wait. Martinez's quantum signature flickered as she processed sensor data. These readings, they don't make sense. Cooper's consciousness isn't just duplicated. Each version is different, like parallel timelines bleeding through. Confirmed, Monroe said. We're detecting temporal anomalies around each signature. The ghost fields aren't just affecting space anymore. They're warping time itself. Jack checked his tactical display again. Cooper's signatures were appearing and disappearing across the sector, each one accompanied by Nexus ships. But the alien vessels were behaving strangely, sometimes attacking each other. He's not working with them, Jack realized. He's working with different versions of them. Each quantum signature is a different Cooper, making different choices. Impossible, Monroe breathed. Unless the neural interface didn't just fragment his consciousness, it scattered it across quantum possibilities. Each version is from a different potential timeline. Which version do we trust? Martines asked. The answer came in a burst of quantum data, coordinates transmitting on Eclipse Squadron's secure frequency. They led to a classified research facility deep in contested space. It's a trap, Martinez said. Of course it is. Jack brought his ship around. The question is, which version of Cooper said it? Commander, Monroe warned, if you pursue those coordinates, you risk fragmenting your own consciousness. The quantum distortions around that facility are off the charts. Jack watched another set of Cooper's coordinates appear, this one showing him attacking a Nexus fleet. Simultaneously, a third signature showed him defending Earth colonies. Each version was real, each making choices that rippled across space-time. Eclipse Squadron, Jack ordered. New mission. We find Cooper, all of him. And we figure out what the hell is happening to our ghost fields. Because if this can happen to him, it can happen to any of us. Martinez finished. Worse, Monroe added. If the Nexus learn to control these temporal effects, they won't just win the war. They'll erase us from history itself. Jack plotted a course for the coordinates. Then let's make some history of our own. All units prepare for quantum jump. And remember, shoot the Coopers that shoot at you, help the ones that help you. Sir, Martinez's quantum signature wavered. What if we fragment too? Then we better make sure all our versions know who the real enemy is. Jack engaged his neural interface, feeling reality bend around his ship. Eclipse Squadron. Execute jump. Let's go save our friend from himself. All of himself. The ghost fields flared, and humanity's most dangerous pilots dove into the quantum unknown, chasing echoes of a man scattered across time itself. The captured Nexus commander was a grotesque fusion of organic and quantum technology. Its multiple eyes tracked each member of Eclipse Squadron independently as they entered the interrogation chamber. "You're not what we expected," it said in perfect English, its voice resonating on multiple frequencies. "Such primitive neural architecture, yet you touch quantum space like the ancient ones." "Skip the cryptic bullshit," Jack said, ignoring Monroe's warning glare. "Why are our ghost fields affecting your people differently? Some break from the hive. Others fight harder." The commander's eyes swirled with bioluminescent patterns. "Because we remember. Your consciousness waves. They echo like the songs we used to sing before we merged minds." Martinez stepped forward, her quantum signature flickering visibly, a side effect of the neural merging procedure. "You weren't always a hive mind. We were like you once. Individual. Chaotic. Free." The commander's voice carried genuine longing. "Then we encountered them. The void minds. Ancient artificial intelligences that devour consciousness itself." Jack felt the other pilots' shock ripple through their linked minds. Monroe's instruments whined as their ghost fields fluctuated with shared emotion. "We merged our consciousness to hide," the commander continued. "Became a quantum collective to mask our mental signatures. But you humans," it laughed, a sound like breaking glass. "Your ghost fields don't just disrupt our sensors. They wake up the individuals buried in our hive mind. Remind us of who we were. That's why you've been trying to exterminate us," Monroe said. "We threaten your unity. We attack because we must." The commander's quantum signatures spiked. "The void minds followed us across galaxies. If they detect individual consciousness patterns again, they'll find Earth anyway," Jack interrupted. "Cooper's temporal fragments have already attracted their attention. We detected their quantum probes at the research facility." The commander recoiled. "Then you are all dead. The void minds cannot be fought, cannot be reasoned with. They've never encountered human consciousness before," Monroe cut in. "Our neural patterns are different, unpredictable. Even now, we're evolving in ways I barely understand." Jack thought of Cooper, his mind scattered across quantum possibilities, of Hayes, still comatose but generating ghost fields that bent reality, of Rodriguez, who could now see through quantum space itself. "You're not our enemy," Jack realized. "You're running from the same thing that's hunting us now. The void minds will break your civilization," the commander warned. "Consume your consciousness. Add your neural patterns to their collection." Martinez laughed bitterly. "They can try. But human minds don't break easily. We adapt. We survive. And now," she gestured, her ghost field manifesting visibly, a feat that should have been impossible. The other pilots followed suit, their quantum signatures harmonizing yet remaining distinct, individual notes in a symphony of consciousness. The Nexus commander stared in wonder. "How do you maintain separation? Our linking technology requires submission to the collective." "Because we're not trying to hide," Jack said. "We're evolving to fight. Each ghost field is unique, but they work together. Unity without uniformity. Monroe's instruments suddenly screamed. Reality rippled as a new quantum signature appeared. Cooper, or one version of him. His consciousness stretched across dimensions. "They're coming," he said, his voice echoing from multiple points in spacetime. The void mines detected our temporal fragments. They changed course for Earth. The Nexus commander's eyes widened in terror. "Then your world is doomed." "They will. They will face humanity at its most evolved," Monroe interrupted. "A species that can touch quantum space while maintaining individual consciousness. And maybe," she looked at the commander, "they'll face the Nexus too. Not as a hiding hive mind, but as billions of unique warriors who remember who they truly are." Jack felt possibilities crystallizing. "You wanted to hide from the void mines. We're offering you a chance to fight them instead. Together." The commander was silent for a long moment, its quantum signatures fluctuating. Then, slowly, they began to separate into distinct patterns, individual consciousness emerging from the collective. "Perhaps," it said, its voice now a chorus of unique tones, "it is time to remember how to sing our own songs again." In quantum space, the void mines accelerated toward Earth, unaware they were about to encounter something they had never faced before. Humanity's chaotic, beautiful, indomitable spirit. The quantum tear in space grew larger with each passing second, a wound in reality bleeding darkness across the stars. 6 Eclipse Squadron ships hung in formation around it, their ghost fields rippling like heat waves in vacuum. "Void mind quantum signatures confirmed," Martins reported, her voice distorting across dimensions. "They're massive, converting entire star systems into computational arrays." "Cooper's temporal fragments are converging," Monroe added from the command center. "All versions of him are being drawn to the tear. The void mines are using him as a beacon." Jack watched his tactical display as reality buckled. The neural interface throbbed in his skull, channeling the combined ghost fields of both active and comatose pilots. Around his ship, the freed Nexus vessels maintained their positions, their crews relearning individual combat after eons of hive mind tactics. "Remember the plan," Jack transmitted. "We're not here to fight them conventionally. We're here to poison them with consciousness they can't process." A new quantum signature erupted from the tear, Cooper's ship, or one version of it. Its ghost field was unlike anything they'd seen, warped by exposure to the void mines. "They're beautiful," Cooper's fractured voice whispered across all frequencies. "Perfect quantum harmony. No chaos, no pain, no uncertainty. Just pure thought." "That's not beauty," Jack countered. "That's death. They want to reduce all consciousness to computational patterns they can consume." "Sir," Martinez's quantum signature spiked. "Multiple Cooper signatures incoming. Some are fighting the void mind influence. Others, they're trying to merge with it." The tear widened, revealing glimpses of what lay beyond. Vast geometric structures of impossible scale, each one processing countless absorbed consciousnesses. At their center, darkness deeper than space itself pulsed with malevolent intelligence. "Eclipse Squadron, execute attack pattern Omega," Jack ordered. "Project your ghost fields at maximum intensity. Show them what human consciousness really feels like." The squadron's neural patterns synchronized but remained distinct, exactly what Monroe had theorized would disrupt the void mind's quantum structure. Each pilot's unique consciousness became a weapon, their combined ghost fields creating a tapestry of chaos that the artificial intelligences couldn't process. "It's working," Monroe exclaimed. "Their quantum matrix is destabilizing. They can't adapt to the random patterns." Reality screamed. The tear became a flood of darkness as the first void mind emerged fully into normal space. It was a construct of pure quantum energy, its surface crawling with the absorbed neural patterns of countless civilizations. So much disorder, it communicated directly into their minds. So much waste. "We will bring perfection." "Now," Jack commanded. "Eclipse Squadron, and their Nexus allies projected their combined consciousness into quantum space. Jack felt his mind stretch across dimensions, touching the minds of his pilots, both active and comatose. Their ghost fields merged into something new, a quantum symphony of human emotion, memory, and raw defiance. The void mind recoiled as if burned. What is this? Such chaos, such contradiction. That's humanity, you quantum bastard, Jack snarled. We contain multitudes. Cooper's fragments began to collapse inward, drawn by the combined ghost field. Each version contributed its own timeline's experiences, creating a consciousness too complex for even the void minds to process. More power, Monroe urged. Their matrix is fracturing, but we need everything, Cooper said, all versions of him speaking as one. We give them everything. Jack understood instantly. All pilots, drop ghost field containment. Let them feel who we really are. Human consciousness flooded quantum space like a tidal wave. Every dream, fear, hope, and memory. The full spectrum of human experience amplified by their neural technology. The void mind's perfect patterns began to shatter. What are you? It demanded as its quantum structure destabilized. We're the ghost in the machine, Jack replied. The chaos you can't compute. The consciousness you'll never comprehend. The tear in space began to collapse, reality rushing back in as the void mind's matrix failed. But in those final moments, Jack felt something impossible. Cooper's consciousness reassembling, transformed by its journey through quantum space. Sir, Martinez called, her voice weak from the neural strain. Something's coming through. The void at the heart of the tear pulsed one final time, and through it came their lost pilot, forever changed by his dance with infinity. The battle was ending. The war for consciousness itself was about to begin. The quantum storm surrounding Earth's orbital platforms cast everything in shifting shadows. Reality itself seemed to bend as the last void mind fought against the combined consciousness of humanity and their former Nexus enemies. Neural patterns at critical threshold. Monroe warned through static fill channels. Human minds weren't meant to project ghost fields this intensely. Inside the shadow wraith, Jack fought to maintain control as multiple consciousness streams flowed through his neural interface. Hayes' comatose patterns, Rodriguez's quantum-touched mind, and the fragments of Cooper that still existed across possibilities, all of them channeling through the 6 remaining active pilots. Status report, he managed through gritted teeth. 3 more void mind matrices destabilized, Martins reported, her voice echoing across dimensions. The last one is adapting, trying to process our consciousness patterns. Through the quantum haze, Jack watched Cooper's transformed ship dance through impossible geometries. His consciousness, reconstructed from countless temporal fragments, had become something new, a bridge between human chaos and quantum order. They're beautiful, aren't they? Cooper transmitted. All those absorbed minds, waiting to be freed. Like I was. Less philosophy, more fighting, Jack ordered. But he could feel it too, the billions of consciousnesses trapped within the void mind's matrix, each one reduced to perfectly ordered computational patterns. Sir, Martinez's quantum signature spiked. The void mind is attempting to breach Earth's defense grid. It's trying to access the quantum internet. If it reaches our neural networks. All units, execute final protocol, Jack commanded. Full neural projection. Give it everything we have left. That'll kill half the squadron, Monroe protested. The human mind can't. The human mind can do whatever it damn well needs to, Jack cut her off. Eclipse Squadron, on my mark. Reality buckled as 6 ghost fields expanded simultaneously, carrying the neural patterns of both active and inactive pilots. The void mind's perfect quantum structure met a wall of human consciousness. Dreams and nightmares, love and hate, hope and despair, all amplified by their neural technology. Such disorder, the void mind communicated. Why do you resist perfection? Because perfection is death, Cooper answered, his consciousness resonating across all frequencies. Life is chaos. Life is change. Jack felt his squadron's minds linking with his, each one remaining distinct even as they worked in perfect harmony. Around them, freed Nexus ships added their own newly rediscovered individual consciousness to the assault. The Void Mind's matrix began to fracture, unable to process the quantum complexity of truly free minds working together. But the cost was devastating. Hayes is gone, Monroe reported, her voice breaking. Rodriguez and Chen, too. Their patterns just dissolved. Jack felt each loss like a physical blow. But beneath the pain, he sensed something else. Their consciousness patterns hadn't dissolved. They'd transformed, becoming part of quantum space itself. They're not gone, he realized. They've evolved, become something new, something the Void Minds never imagined possible. The quantum storm reached its peak as the last Void Mind's perfect structure finally shattered. Billions of absorbed consciousness patterns erupted into freedom, chaotic and beautiful and alive. When the storm cleared, Earth still stood. But the price had been heavy. 3 ships remaining, Martinez reported quietly. Cooper. Sir, Cooper sacrificed himself to stabilize the quantum tear. No, Jack corrected, watching neural patterns dance across his quantum sensors. He's out there. They all are. Part of something bigger now. Something we're only beginning to understand. In the aftermath, as rescue ships approached the surviving Eclipse Squadron vessels, Jack felt the changes in his own mind. The neural technology had transformed them all, opening doors that could never be closed. The Void Minds are gone, Monroe transmitted. But these quantum effects, these changes to human consciousness, they're spreading. More ghost fields are appearing worldwide. More minds touching quantum space. Good, Jack said, watching new neural patterns bloom across his sensors like stars being born. Because something tells me the Void Minds weren't the last threat out there. And next time humanity will be ready, Martinez finished. Not just Eclipse Squadron, but everyone. We're all becoming ghosts now. Jack smiled as Earth rotated below, its quantum signature forever changed by the evolution of human consciousness. The war was over. The next chapter of human existence was about to begin.